Okay, so hello everyone. This is Coach Clayton, and this is the Women's Empowerment Interview session. And today we have Crystal as our guest, and she is here to discuss her amazing journey of overcoming personal and professional obstacles in her life. Welcome, Crystal. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good today. Thanks.
Good. And I want to thank you again for taking the time out of your busy day to sit down and discuss, your journey. So thank you.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So let's discuss this. I know what really intrigued me was that you really overcame quite a bit of obstacles, and you really were able to, flourish personally, create a two thriving businesses from what the research shows.
Yeah.
I want to dive deep into first, let's discuss personal and just some of the obstacles that you overcame. Like I said, the reason why I created this video podcast is because there's so many things going on in this world. And my goal with this video podcast is to really touch women that are either going through a similar obstacle and just show them that, there is a rainbow at the end of the tunnel, So, yeah. So tell me about yourself. Tell me some of the obstacles that you've come across and how you overcame them.
So I will one of the biggest obstacles that I have had to overcome in my life is that I am a human trafficking survivor. I was kidnapped as a teenager. And I was basically held in captivity for almost a year.
Okay.
And so that I've had obstacles unfortunately beyond that, but I feel like that's one of my greatest ones.
Yes, and that's huge. Crystal, how old were you? How old were you when this happened, if you don't mind?
I had just turned 14.
Okay, so you were held at 14 years old, and then probably around 15. What were some of the mental challenges that you had to overcome then and now?
So when you're taken away from your surroundings, your family, your friends, one of the things that was the hardest was giving up. Like, you want to give up hope. Like you don't. After a while, day after day comes, and no one's coming to save you. And that part is, one would say that is probably the biggest thing that looms over your head is, okay, day one, you're scared, but there's hope. And then day 7 comes and that hope chips away. And then, you stop counting the days. You don't know anymore what day of the week it is, or what date it is, or the month. Did you have a birthday? It just all runs together. And then, a part of you says, this is my life now. Like, but I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to give into that. And so the hardest part that I had to, what I had to do to overcome what I was going through is, I created this person, I guess, this personality that was strong enough to take this. And I put on this, shield, if you will. And then I told myself, I couldn't give up. Like, I'm not going to give up. And so whatever I've got to do to make this work until I get home, I'm going to do. And so I created a person who could hide somewhere while all of this was happening, and who, like, I created almost like this mother figure exterior, this bad girl who was like, I can survive this. I can get through this, and I'm gonna get home. And I held up to my hope, and I figured if I just tried something every day,
Mhm.
to escape, like to get a message out, to call
Mhm.
home that
Mhm.
I would be home eventually. And I did successfully get one call out to my mom.
Amazing, amazing. I'm gonna rewind a bit, okay? And then at any time, Crystal, you don't want to discuss anything, please just let me know, okay?
Okay.
I do want to rewind a bit. How exactly were you kidnapped?
I was basically, I don't know what you call it. Like, I don't want to say a friend because she was a grown woman, but like
Okay.
I knew this lady from my neighborhood who had
Mhm.
previously um comforted me when a male had tried to sexually assault.
Okay.
So she was my comfort. Like she was like, "Oh my God, like, are you okay?"
Mhm.
She had seen me at the corner. I was crying, and I was brought to her by another gentleman because he didn't know what to do with me, and
Mhm.
so he brought me to a woman, and so she was very comforting and mother like,
Yeah.
and was like, I'll help you get through this. I know that he's not gonna hurt you. I won't let him come near you. Like,
Mhm.
what's his name? And I later found out it was her neighbor, like her upstairs neighbor. But
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I hindsight being 2020, I think it was all set up.
Okay. Okay. So,
And so she brings me, sorry,
mhm.
so she basically gains my trust. Little by little as I'm walking home from school, it's kind of
Mhm.
like, hey, you want a soda? Hey, can you do me
Mhm.
a favor? Can you stay on the front? In New York, we call it a stoop, which is like
Yep.
the front steps of your porch,
Yeah.
whatever. So she's like, oh, why don't you, come sit on the stoop, watch my kids. I'm gonna go grab us some ices, some drinks, whatever. I'm a teenager.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
she's giving me money or to go to the store and grab something for myself and for her kids, or the vice
Mhm.
versa, having me watch them so she can run and get us stuff or babysit
Mhm.
her kids. And she never made me feel like she was a danger. And then one day she says, hey, I got to go down to downtown to New York City, and I need to um I need to meet with a guy who owes me some money, but
Mhm.
uh but I don't like to go down there and see him alone because he likes to keep talking and all of this. So could you come with me as
Mhm.
backup? Like, can you come with me so that I can tell him I have to leave?
Mhm. Okay.
And I got on a train with her.
Mhm.
It was right after school. I was in Catholic school. I still
Okay.
had my little, you know, uniform on and knee socks and Mary Janes. And
Mhm.
I went down with her to New York City, and we were like a very busy, unsavory neighborhood.
Okay.
And we meet up with a gentleman, and she says, "Hey, this is my friend so and so, and I'm gonna head out to the store. I'm gonna grab us some Pepsis. Keep him
Mhm.
company. Like, you guys talk.
Mhm.
I'll be right back." He hands
Mhm.
her a wad of money, which I later learned was $300. Um, and so she goes to the store, and I'm just, trying to do small talk. I get whatever. I don't even know what a teenager can small
Yeah.
talk about, but I'm just talking to him, and I start noticing that it's taking a really long time for her to come back.
Mhm.
Um, and so he's still talking to me, and then I turn to my right, and because I at this point I'm uncomfortable now. Like, now
Yeah.
the person who I know has been gone
Mhm.
for what I perceive to be a very long time. So I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, why is she taking so long? And I
Mhm.
turn, and at the precise moment that I turn, I
Mhm.
notice that she's jumping into a New York City cab. Like, she comes right out of the bodega, the corner store, whatever it is, and she jumps into a taxi. And it was obviously confusing. I'm like,
Mhm.
and then literally, and this is why I go around and I speak at schools and everything. In less than 60 seconds, in the time it took me to turn my head and go from looking at her jumping into that cab to turning
Yeah.
to the man that I understood now was essentially going to be stuck with me,
Mhm.
I was gone, and my head ducked and my body picked up and put into a car in less than 60 seconds. It was instantaneous. My head spun, I was in the car.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Because when you look at it, she was grooming. She was grooming you to trust her so that eventually you would trust her enough to go somewhere that wasn't familiar, which is awful. Awful, awful,
Right.
awful. Okay.
It's also why I try to educate parents that we are, as we'll go into the story later, it is a disservice to your children to tell them not to speak to strangers. You need to tell your children not to speak to tricky people. And tricky people are adults who ask children for help.
I love that. Yes, absolutely. Because we do always say, don't talk to strangers, but like you said, it's tricky people. Like you said, adults should not be asking kids for help. You're absolutely right. Wow. So from that time, you were captured for a year, and then you were able to make a phone call out to your mom, or how did that work? How did you escape, Crystal?
So I was rescued. I was actually rescued by a stranger, which is why I advocate for parents to reconsider the stranger concept, because we sort of do that and it's contradictory anyway, right? Like we'll meet someone at the park and then all of a sudden we're exchanging numbers and now you have play dates. So this is contradictory behavior. We engage with strangers all the time, strangers at church, etc. But when you say tricky person, a tricky person is someone that needs help from a person. So how from a child help, or is asking a child to come with them somewhere. Those are tricky people. Okay. So anyhow, how I ended up getting rescued, I got my call out to my mom because I was placed in a hub. It's like a babysitter for us. And so there's a woman who was in charge of making sure that I didn't go anywhere, basically, while waiting for that person to waiting for essentially my owner to do whatever he needed to do and come back. And then she didn't really understand, I think, that he was forcing these children to do this, or me to do it. I don't think, because she wouldn't have let me make the call. But so we were walking past a payphone and I said, hey, I haven't called my mom in over a week to let her know that I'm still okay, because I don't want her to send people looking for me. So I lied, and I basically made it seem like he was letting me have contact with my family, and if I didn't do this contact, it would be a flag. And so I called my mom, and I remember her voice cracking, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're alive." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I said, she said, and she goes, "Crystal, are you being held against your will?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, what are they doing to you?" And I told her in Spanish that, that they were trafficking me. And she's like, we're gonna find you. I'm gonna find you. Do you know where you are? I couldn't answer. By this time, this young lady must have taken inventory of my emotion and what I was acting like at the time, because this is the first time I hear my mom's voice in months. And so I was not behaving like someone who normally calls their mom. And then she hung up the phone. New York City Police Department did trace the phone call, and they were able to learn the vicinity of where I was at, but only within a 10 block radius. So their attempts of finding me were futile.
Wow.
At that time. So I didn't get away. Then I tried again at a rest stop when I was taken over state lines, which is a federal crime. And so I was taken over several state lines and brought to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And I did try to escape again and
Mhm.
was unsuccessful during a restroom break. Also tried another phone call from that location, and the phone was again hung up on me.
Wow.
And then I spaced these attempts out because one of the things that my mom had actually told me, which is crazy, but it
Mhm.
worked. She said we were always afraid of that. My mom was always afraid of me potentially anyone getting kidnapped. And
Wow.
she told me, Crystal, if someone ever takes you,
Mhm.
she's like, you don't fight. You either fight getting in the car
Mhm.
because that's your last chance at not getting taken.
Yeah.
But once you are, if they've gotten you already,
Mhm.
you play along until you can get out. And that is the reason I believe I was never drugged
Mhm.
or put under any significant physical abuse,
Mhm.
because I was trying to survive. And
Yeah.
finally, and it didn't come a moment too soon, I tell you.
Mhm.
I had gotten worn down to a place where I didn't I didn't expect to ever return home.
Okay.
Whatever was there hope wise was disappearing.
Mm.
And I said, you said you weren't gonna give up. So you're gonna have to give it another shot, give it your
Mhm.
last chance. Like, do something, Crystal, do something, be your own hero.
Yeah.
And so I got into a car for someone who had picked me up,
Mhm.
and I got into the vehicle and I told him, look, whatever you want, I
Mhm.
don't care. But whenever it's over, do
Mhm.
not bring me back here. I
Okay.
need you to bring me to a train station. I am 14 years old. I
Mhm.
miss my mom. They're forcing me to do this. I like, and he said, what?
Mm.
And I said, yeah. And he said, first of all, you won't be doing anything for me. And second of all, where do you live? And I told
Mhm.
him, and he said, get out, like, you're soaking wet, because I was in the rain. I was soaking wet.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
he said, we're gonna stop. He took me to a cafe. It's probably why I like
Mhm.
coffee so much. But he took me to a cafe and he got me, I don't know if it was a cup of coffee, hot chocolate, something. And I
Mhm.
warmed up because I was freezing, like
Mhm.
shivering cold. He puts
Mhm.
his jacket on me and he goes, I don't know this town. I don't know New York. I just pretty much got here. Like, I guess he had come from New York like just several months back, but I will get you to your mother. I'm not leaving you at a train. And so he takes me to the car. I'm
Mhm.
trusting this complete stranger
Yeah.
again, right?
Yeah.
And he went block by block in New York City, like couple blocks. He would ask someone, how do you get to this place? How do you get to this place? How do you get to this
Wow.
place? And it took us, from what I perceive, because I didn't know the time, to be
Mhm.
around 9, 10 o'clock at night to 5 o'clock in the morning just to make it to Queens. And
Wow.
he dropped me off at my mother's doorstep at 6 a.m.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And the last thing he said to me was, how do I get back to the highway?
What an angel. Oh
Oh yeah. Yeah.
man.
He saved my life.
Tell me, how was that like when your mother opened the door?
So he got to witness that part.
Yeah.
She came, what she would do is she would stay by the window every night, I guess, and every
Mhm.
morning, just praying I would show up. And
Yeah.
so she saw the car pull up, and then
Mhm.
she saw me come out, didn't recognize me because they had me dressed like a woman, let's just say. And so she didn't recognize me at first. And then she
Mhm.
was like, oh my God. And so she ran. She said to her knees, like, just, she felt like
Mhm.
like she couldn't almost get down the steps.
Yeah.
And then when she got to the sidewalk, her knees gave out and she fell to her knees.
Wow.
And she was like, oh my God, you're alive. I thought I'd never see you again.
So touching, Crystal. So touching. Tell me this. Were there any criminal actions taken against that woman, and what happened as far as them being accountable for what they did to you?
So a part of human trafficking that people don't know
Yeah.
is that the perpetrators are rarely prosecuted.
Wow.
And in my case, I unfortunately had to see this girl several times a week, sometimes walking by with her stroller, her kids. She was never, charges were never, like nothing was ever pursued. They, my mom did call and they were notified that I knew the person who kidnapped me.
Yeah.
Nothing was ever done. Both him and her were never prosecuted for my kidnapping and subsequent rape.
Wow. So they are basically on the streets and they're able to do this to other little young teens without any accountability. That is just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
The most of the people who get into this situation and are actually prosecuted,
Yeah.
the time does not fit the crime.
Okay. Okay.
If they are ever prosecuted, most of the time it's very little time and they will just do it again. It is a high risk, but I mean a low risk, high reward.
Wow.
We are considered, like basically reusable commodities. Yeah.
So they didn't pursue it, or they tried to and it was just kicked out of court, or they didn't pursue it at all?
No.
That is
I rarely
upsetting.
share this part of my story because I know how
It's better. It's better. I think
I don't frequently share this part of my story because I know that it can be divisive, but there were more than one attempts for me, escape-wise, where I contacted and had direct conversation with an authority and was not rescued from my situation.
This is just blowing my mind right now, Crystal. It is
Twice I had an opportunity to be rescued by a police officer and was not.
Wow. That's something that I now that I know about this, I really want to research this more to figure out what can be done, because that is ridiculous that they're just allowing teens or kids or anyone, could be adults, to just get away with this. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's they don't see it as they don't see it as a crime. So crimes against women in this country are not seen the same way. It's not a murder. It's not a, how it's, what if she wanted to do it? What if she, like, it's disgusting. It's rape culture is what it is.
Wow.
And we, people, you can only like bring attention to and fight against what exists. And human trafficking has been one of these things that people have pushed to the back burner, or I have women who will tell me, what are you talking about? That's a third world country problem. And I say, or that's a poverty problem. And it's like, no, it isn't. Well, I lived in a middle class. Back then there was a middle class. I was a middle class, lived in a middle class. I lived in a house, not like a multi-apartment unit. We were not in a bad neighborhood. We were actually in
Mhm.
a very nice neighborhood. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I went to parochial school. So like, I was not the poster child for
Mhm.
human trafficking.
Yeah.
I wasn't out to 3 in the morning. Like this happened in
Mhm.
the daytime. I was taken in the daytime.
It's blowing my mind that you spoke to authorities, nothing was done. That
I was
the
threatened actually.
you were
Yeah.
threatened
Hmm.
to stay quiet, or what were you? What?
No, it was just so I don't want to make it sound like they were the active like person picking me up. I literally
Mhm.
just stated what was going on, and
Yeah.
there was a conversation that essentially made it clear that if I didn't like it was not I wasn't believed. It was like it was a sob story.
And for them to say that and not investigate, that's ridiculous and it's disgusting. And I'm just, wow, wow.
Yeah, I think in that life it's like there's the idea that this person is like just trying to get away with something versus actually needs help. And
Mhm.
that's why I do what I do. That's why I go to colleges. This is why I speak. What I do now
Mhm.
for a living is my give back. One would
Yeah.
say, I I'm a business coach, and I
Mhm.
help other women strategize on how to grow their brands, how to be their own hero, you know,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
I don't I when I was there and I felt like help wasn't coming, like
Mhm.
I've had if I didn't help myself, I wouldn't be. I mean, yes, I did have help in the way of my angel, right? Who was like,
Yes,
but I had to take that first step and go, I
exactly.
want help, help me out of this, get me out of here,
Mhm.
and I was willing to risk literally life and limb
Yeah.
to to get back home, and so I did, and
Mhm.
so that's what I try to encourage women to do now is like
Mhm.
nobody's coming to get you. Let's do
Yes.
this. I'm
Yes.
probably as close. I'm as close to that person picking you up and saying, "Let's go. We're gonna drive
Yeah.
you home,"
Hmm.
as possible. But you got to get in the vehicle.
Exactly. You got to get into that vehicle. Absolutely, Crystal. Absolutely. Now I have a question for you. You've absolutely gone through trauma.
Yes.
What have you done to work on your inner child work?
So when I started realizing that I was having poor interpersonal relationships,
Mhm.
cyclic behavior,
Yeah.
um, difficulty detaching or attaching,
Mhm.
um, and codependent like behavior,
Mhm.
um, I started noticing that I became very anxious and timid when faced with
Mhm.
people in positions of power or
Okay.
who had authority.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand it, but I knew it was happening over and over again. And I know that when something happens over and over again, then the common denominator must be you. And so I knew something was wrong. So
Mhm.
at 19 years old, after having my baby, I decided to enroll in psychology courses so I could understand myself. And so I took a year of psych. I did abnormal psych, general psych, child psychology, and sociology.
Okay.
And I started to realize that what I was experiencing were known as maladaptive behaviors.
Mhm.
And so how I healed or worked on healing my inner child is I developed, if you will, not intentionally, but I developed this program that I
Mhm.
put myself through. So
Yeah.
it started with DBT and
Mhm.
writing things down and basically why am I feeling this way? What is the trigger? What am I
Mhm.
scared of? Where is the shame coming from?
Yeah.
So I started to process my thoughts and like because I was doing things that were like, I would say I wanted to be with someone, right? For example, in a relationship,
Yep.
but then I would have behaviors that would be the opposite, right?
Yep.
And so it was like, what am I doing? I don't even mean that. Like, I want
Mm-hmm.
to be with this person, or I want to show love, but I am like, I hate you or whatever. And
Yep.
so I said, okay, well, why is that? Oh, because I'm afraid they're gonna abandon me. Like
Yes.
when I was younger, when I was
Yeah.
abandoned, and that woman abandoned me, and then my biological. So I keep referencing my mother, meaning my adoptive mom, who was actually my biological aunt. But my
Okay.
biological mom actually passed when I was young. She passed
Okay.
when I was 8 years old. So
Okay.
it was like abandonment after abandonment after abandonment, and I decided to write down my feelings, basically,
Yes.
figure out anger
Mm-hmm.
and pain. Like, you can usually reroute them back to fear and shame.
Yes. Oh,
And
yes.
so I started going, okay, is this they're being driven by fear? Is this being driven by shame?
Mm-hmm.
And then I did some regression therapy where I
Okay.
had to go back, and this is self done. I had to go back and see, you stay at the age that you experienced your worst trauma.
Oh, yes.
So I was living my adult life as a 14-year-old kid,
Okay.
right? And so everyone on the outside is expecting this grand adult and mature behavior from
Yeah.
this 29-year-old or 30-year-old, or honestly, until I did it, which was 33. So,
Okay.
so they're expecting these adult and responsible behaviors from someone who's really still a teenager
Oh, yes.
emotionally. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't hold a job right. I couldn't
Yeah.
I couldn't control my anger. It was explosive when it did happen, and I was honestly a wrecking ball to
Mm-hmm.
anything and everyone around me, because I didn't know what to do when I couldn't place my feelings or
Mm-hmm.
identify them. And so one of the things that helped me was naming it. Name it.
Yes.
What is
Oh,
this?
yes.
Oh, you're
Mm-hmm.
jealous? What are you jealous of? Well, why is
Yeah.
that making you feel that way? Oh, because you would like someone to treat you that way. I
Yes.
understand. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And then and just telling, when I went back and got her, as I like to say,
Yeah.
I had to tell little Crystal,
Yeah.
everything that she really needed to hear. It is not
Mm-hmm.
your fault. I'm sorry that the people who had the ability to do the right thing didn't. I am
Mm-hmm.
sorry that you were alone. I'm sorry
Yes.
that someone touched you you didn't want to touch you.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
yeah, and I had to tell her she was worthy, that she had made it,
Mhm.
and that if she was
Mhm.
willing to come with me, she would see that she's a really amazing person now, and people like her, and people care about her, and she helps other people, and she's charitable, and she is doing things that some people can't do, even if they never experienced a trauma, let alone a trauma.
That's
And
right.
so I
That's
had to
right.
like convince her that the girl up here is out here and older, made it. She's okay.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. As I always say, if we don't work on our inner child, our reactions is 90% of our reactions is what happened in our past if we don't deal with it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And 10% has to do with present. So you did an amazing job with mothering yourself, mothering that inner child. So kudos to you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Definitely. Yes, yes. Now, what is the biggest lesson that you would want to convey to someone that's gone through? It doesn't have to be sexual trafficking. It could be any type of obstacle similar to what you've overcome. What do you want to say to them to inspire them?
I would say that someone who's gone through any kind of adversity, let's just say,
Mhm.
or a trauma,
Yeah.
I want to say that you are so much greater than your circumstances.
Mhm.
And every day that you wake up and you take a
Mhm.
breath and you're able to put feet to floor, or if you don't have feet, just wake up, period.
Right.
Um, is an opportunity for you to rewrite your story.
Mm-hmm.
And at the precipice where I just couldn't take it anymore, that's literally what I said. Crystal, that's enough. This is not going to be your story. That you because then you get consumed by it, and then everything that happens becomes the end. That's how. And no, like when this book turns,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to end at, okay, Crystal was human trafficked.
Yeah.
Sure, she lived an explosive life due to the resulting trauma. Nobody cares. At the end.
That's right.
I decided that's not the chapter for me. This is not where I wanted to end. And it doesn't mean that you have to say, oh, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to have these 2 businesses, or I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. It could just be your inner peace. That enough is it. You know, we were born already worthy. We're here. So I would say to encourage them, just understand that there's help out there. There are strangers who care. It took one person to transform my life and give me another opportunity, you know, but I also had to be willing to do something with that.
Yes.
You know, I had to desire living more than dying in those circumstances. And I mean that both physically and you know, figuratively. So I would say if you're going through it, there's a country song I like, don't judge me, but it says if you're going through hell, keep on going.
That's right.
You know, keep on going so that the devil doesn't catch you there. Like, just keep on moving through it. It's depression is defined as not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
And sometimes you're going to go through that. Sometimes you might feel like there is none, but there is. The one thing about most adversity that we experience today is that there's a way out. It might not be comfortable for you. It might require things of you that you've never had to use before.
That's right.
It might require asking for help or swallowing pride, or like, you know, maybe you feel like you can't do something because you don't know how to read. Well, I avoided taking my GED for 16 years. And then I had to do it for me because there was this little thing, and, you know, but taking the first step. Success isn't in the achievement of a goal, it's in the pursuing of it. And I don't think people get that.
So true. So true. Yes, it is. It's taking that first step. And like you said, it's getting in the car. It's getting in the car. Get in the car. Another thing that I think you wrote on the one of the forms is that you said it's harder before it's easy. It's hard. Yeah. So that's important too.
It does get harder.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Crystal, you're amazing. You are amazing. You really are. And I know that you're touching so many people's lives, and that's what it's all about. It really is. Yeah.
And I'm working on ways to try to try to do it in a larger scale because you know, working with the women that I work with predominantly women. I have male clients, but most of my clients are women. Yeah. And I have a book called Made Up that'll be coming out, which discusses the perseverance and all that. But but that still feels like not enough. So that's why I try to go out there and speak. I have a nonprofit organization, if you don't mind, if I can.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about your businesses and everything that you're doing. Yeah. So you're nonprofit.
Yeah, I'll talk about that first because I feel like that's like so much more important. So I created this thing called the Common Denominator, and it was a play on words, which they're like, you shouldn't do that. But I really felt like it made sense because the common denominator, remember when I said that I had to find out what the common denominator was in all of this mess? And so I named it the common denominator because it would be essentially what all of the recipients of the services would have in common with me. Right. And so the common denominator is an organization that serves to fill a gap in the human trafficking world. And so what the gap is that we have a lot of organizations that are going out there and rescuing girls. We have police that are, working nonstop to take the people who are doing this off the street or to, do all of that. But what happens is that no one answers the call after the rescue.
Oh, okay.
And so myself, listen to what I just told you. I had to do all of my own. Not everyone's built this way.
Yes.
Not everyone can do that. I was actually going to put it on the back burner. This is a true story, and I don't want to take up all of your audience's time, but I was doubting whether or not I should create the common denominator. And I spoke to God and I said, God, if you do not want me to share this word, if this is not part of my story, and I just keep this quiet and continue with my spa and my businesses and just let everything go, then I will not do this out of what's the word? Pride and like whatever. Like I'm not doing this so that I get famous or do whatever. Like I need to be doing this from a place of purity. And if that's not where I'm doing it, then shut it down. Right. And I said, so I'm going to listen and I'm going to look for the feedback on you. And so I just forgot about it. I let it go. I said, I'm not a peep. I go to do a client's eyebrows. Yeah. And she has this, she has the fish on. And so we were just talking about God or whatever. And then I said, you're not going to believe this, but he's helped me too. And then I briefly touched on the topic and she goes, Crystal, you're kidding me. And I'm like, no, really. And she's like, I just moved. What did she say? I just moved from Ohio to Delaware because God told me to move here. And I was like, okay. And I was like, wow. She's like, yeah, I'm a human trafficking counselor.
What? I was just fine.
I say, wait, what? And so we connect. And the long story short is the next thing I know, that next week, I'm on the news.
Wow.
Talking to people about human trafficking. And I said, okay, that was one sign.
Yes.
And then a second thing happened, and it was a young lady was rescued. I was worried about her, so worried about her. I think it was in California, and her parents were sending out these posters, and I saw the picture was like a Latina.
Yeah.
And she was like 15 years old, and she's like, my daughter, we heard that she's being trafficked. We're trying to go in there and rescue her. She gets rescued. I immediately, when she gets rescued, I'm like, oh my God, thank you. And then I said, she needs me. I literally said this out loud. Like, they need to bring her to me. And it sounds so like weird, but like, that's what I instinctively felt is like, they have to bring her to someone who knows what to do next.
That's right.
And unfortunately, before I could reach out to the mother, she had killed herself. Unable to adapt to life after being trafficked. And her mother, when she was interviewed, said, I didn't know what to do with her. I didn't know how to help her.
Wow.
I didn't know how to help her.
So your nonprofit helps, like after they're rescued, your nonprofit helps with what to do next. Is that what?
Yes. Okay. So I'm working with a psychologist to actually formally make what I told you I did to heal a like actual program, but that takes time. So in the meantime though, the idea is either to, by way of remote, is to help them through that. And also to help them with the legalities, getting their license. Getting their license back, their birth certificate, their legal documents. We have a lawyer who is working pro bono. We have a lawyer who's working with us pro bono to help them get their legal documents together or anything that would help them acclimate back to life. I basically go through the coaching part of like, getting through the pain and really starting to believe in yourself, because a large number of these women come back, they feel dependent on men as their source of income. They also are higher likelihood of being re-victimized and put into precarious situations again. And so you have to stop some of that. I mean, I've had this affect my relationships with landlords, my relationships with bosses, anyone in a position of power, in unable to stand up for myself, taking and subjecting myself to abuses I would have normally not. So it's so important and critical that these girls, and my goal, and I'll share it here in faith, my goal is to have a residential facility where I can put these women through a 90 or a 120 day on children program with love and the support that they need to mentally reacclimate to life out of trafficking, including, STD testing, pregnancy support. Some of them are coming out of this pregnant. And most importantly, entrepreneurial skill training. As an entrepreneur myself, it is so vital to be able to allow these people an opportunity to make money that is independent of someone else's control.
I love it. I love it. And I'm going to say it here. If you need anything from me as far as volunteering or even with my coaching services, because I have trauma coaching that a program that I recently finished, just let me know, because there's a need. There's a huge need.
Well, I received that. This is my year of the yes. And so I have decided.
Yes.
So in 2022, I am taking all, you want to offer me help? Yes. I need help. And
volunteer.
Volunteer, especially that you specialize in that department, being able to link you up with it. And how we do it is just referral based. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the client. But this is important. And after seeing what happened, I mean, I'm thankful every day that I was able to get out, and I was able to, even though I feel like I'm still not 100%, but that I was able to get here. If I can get someone even halfway here, I will, feel like I've done something in this world meaningful to others. And I have worked with other organizations, Mothers Come Get Your Daughters in, New Jersey, where that's another organization that focuses on the rescue and the actual rescue portion. They give them time afterwards too, like girls' night. And I went out there and did facials and stuff. And, so just trying to partner with other organizations. I did a calendar to help raise money for human trafficking, in support of human trafficking education efforts. I speak at colleges. If anyone is looking for a speaker to come down to their organization and discuss not only what happened, but how to prevent it, or how to see the signs, because everyone thinks you got to be kidnapped in order to be trafficked, and that is not true.
It's true.
You can be trafficked while still living at home. There's been cases where older brothers are trafficking their younger sisters. So this is bigger than people know, and so if I can, be a part of that, that would be excellent. And I'm saying yes. We're saying yes.
Okay. We will definitely collaborate and be in touch for sure. That's your nonprofit, but you have other businesses as well that I want my viewers to know about. I know that you have a spa. Is it a spa and a digital marketing agency?
Yes. So I have a brow and skincare spa in the Philadelphia area, and our biggest specialty is eyebrows. I'm obsessed. So I'm obsessed with the eyebrows. And then we also have, I also do a celebrity skin program, which helps take someone through a 9-step series to have basically flawless skin.
Oh, nice.
So my goal is to, so we have the celebrity skin program that basically helps you get flawless skin and helps people feel more confident without makeup. That's what that program was all about.
I love that. Nice.
And so if anyone's in the Philadelphia area, it's called Vanity. And I chose that name because it was intentional. Like, you're coming here for vanity, and we're going to be proud of that. We're going to be okay. We're going to claim that. And people love that. And then my second business, was born out of my love of all things digital and
Mhm.
aesthetically pleasing. I am,
Mhm.
been in the beauty world for well over 15 years, and but I also happen to love technology. It's one of my things. I'm a geek, and so
Okay.
I partnered with another geek
Mhm.
who is a phenomenal engineer, and his name is Justin, and we came together, Justin Dean, and we came
Mhm.
together to create this brand called Beauty and the Geek,
Mm.
and
I
and
like that.
beauty. I love it. It's just so catchy.
Yeah.
And so Beauty and the Geek is a branding and digital marketing company that
Mhm.
basically comes in and can help either direct the aesthetic or
Mhm.
to help you automate your business by way of social media marketing, marketing
Mhm.
strategies and plans. So basically to grow your revenue by taking what you already do and either making that more profitable or adding more streams to what you're already offering as a product or service.
Oh,
And
nice.
and then I am a business coach. I
Mhm.
handhold my clients through the processes that they know they should do and may be putting off or
Yep.
don't know what to do.
Mhm.
And I help them by building strategies and holding them accountable on a
Mhm.
regular basis for that. So for we have a 60-day program and a 6-month program, and I
Mhm.
pretty much get them started. And if they're already started, then I help them tighten it up so that they can be self sufficient. That's the goal, is to get them to whatever number that they are trying to achieve.
Wow, I love it. I absolutely love it. Yes. Where can they find you online though? Like what would be the best avenue for them to log on to see you?
So I am available on all social media platforms, but
Okay.
most prominently on Instagram and Facebook. I am.
Okay.
You can find me there under Crystal Carmen, CrystalCarmen.
Okay.
I also, and that's both for Facebook as well as Instagram. And then
Okay.
if you want to learn more about my branding and digital marketing or booking
Mhm.
me to speak for an engagement, that will be at beautyandthegeek.co, just the way it sounds,
Okay.
beautyandthegeek.co.
Okay.
Um, and so that's how I can be found. I'm open to, I'm one of those people that I actually am okay with DMs. Um,
Okay.
so, you can reach out to me. Um,
Okay.
and that's for that. And then for Vanity, vanityImageStudio.com, if you're interested in um, long-term beauty services and you're
Okay.
willing to travel to the Philadelphia area.
Okay, nice. Very nice. Crystal, you're amazing. Amazing. And I just want to thank you again so much for being so open and willing to share your story. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. And just remember to be your own hero.
That's right. That is right.
Hey everyone, this is Coach Clayton, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Women Empowering Women. Please don't forget to subscribe or follow me for more interesting interviews and life advice tips.